Welcome in. This is the early Wedge. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your halftime report for this week's Cognizant. We got them all in. Every single player has just finished round number 2. We're going to get you up to date with everything that has happened and looking forward to the weekend. Jason Sobel joins me. Jason, good to see you.
Rick, dude, how long have we tried to get together? Hey, we're going to do something. Finally, you and I get to work together. How cool is this?
Worlds colliding. It's been years. Yes, we are going to be rocking this. I'm very excited about it. And if you're wondering what universe is this in? Yeah, this is part of the new expanded early Wedge brand. If you're watching on the SportsLine YouTube channel, you are in the exact right spot. If you're watching on the Golf on CBS YouTube channel, you're good for a bit. That'll eventually be converted, or at least we'll ask you to move everybody over to SportsLine. Of course, you get the audio versions of this wherever you get your podcast. Jason, let's get them up to date on what's going on. First off, a cut was made, and the number that ended up being the cut line changed very late in the day. Isaiah Salinda, in part with some others, bumped out about 25 golfers late on Friday to move the cut line to 5 under. 68 players have now made it through. Before, we were looking at 90 some odd guys playing the weekend.
And let's give a polite golf clap. Maybe not wild applause like it's a hole out eagle, but okay, a nice tap in par for the people at Golf Channel who finally, after a lot of industry talk about, hey, you guys might want to cover the cut sweat a little bit more, they have leaned into it this year. They're doing a great job of it. We saw percentages on the screen for 4 under and 5 under throughout the entire afternoon. And it really, if you're watching golf, if you're watching the last 10, 15, 20 groups come through at the end of the day on a Friday afternoon, you're probably interested in the cut line, and they did a good job covering it.
Yeah, this was a great cut line. It was basically a coin flip for the majority of the afternoon. So it was a good one to sweat as well. No sweating the cut line for Jake Knapp. He is our 36-hole leader, and he's doing it in parts to a 59 that he shot in the opening round, Jason. Unbelievable stuff. Obviously, not only a course record, but one of the few sub 60 rounds that we've ever had on the PGA Tour. He followed that up with a round of 70 on Friday to post 13 under par. Many years that would have been good enough to win. Right now, it's over. Don't worry about it, but scoring is much better this time.
Yes, it certainly is. And for those only listening on the podcast right now, sorry, but for those watching, the picture of Jake Knapp that we have up here right now, it looks like he wasn't sure how he shot 59. He looks all quizzical there in that graphic that we have. But look, 59, I get it. This isn't your father's PGA National. It's playing much easier with the overseed, softer greens, no wind. I get it. Look, I give him a little bit of a pass because, quite frankly, if you're an agronomist, you're setting up the golf course for 2, 3, 4 months ahead of time. You don't know if on Thursday afternoon the wind's going to blow 30 miles an hour or not. And so if you do have thick rough, if you do have fast greens and all of a sudden it blows like that, it's going to look like a U.S. Open. I know those of us sitting on the couch at home are like, yeah, what's wrong with that? But you want to keep it in check. You want these guys to finish their rounds. You don't want guys shooting the high 80s or anything like that. So, yes, it's certainly playing easier, but take nothing away from Jake Knapp, who posts the 15th sub 60 score in PGA Tour history. By the way, Rick, if I had asked you to name the last 5 players to do it, I might have a little block somewhere. Kevin Chappell, didn't remember that one.
Kevin Chappell had a look at 58. And had a very weak effort at Greenbrier. Did Cam Young shoot a 59 at some point?
Young shot a 59.
Scotty Scheffler shot a 59.
I remember that one.
Dustin Johnson should have shot a 56. The same day Scotty shot a 59. They were torching that place, and DJ let it get away. I'm missing one.
There's another one in here. Hang on. I'm getting my notes out from yesterday. Hayden Springer.
Oh, you could have given me 10 years. I would not have come up with that
one. Same. I remember it now, but
happening a lot more frequently than they used to.
Yeah.
Jake Knapp posts the 59. He's got a one-shot lead going into the weekend. There are a couple of notable lurkers here. Matthew Pavone sits at 12 under par, but I want to focus on Daniel Berger here, Jason, because we've got rounds of 63 and 68 for the guy who's probably got the best pedigree in this field. Obviously missed a ton of time with the back injury, very bad time to get injured with all the new purses and all the new money-making opportunities for these golfers. Didn't take advantage of any of that. But he's had some great quotes this week about when he's in the mix, he thinks he's the best player in the field. He thinks he can beat these guys up. He thinks he can win. I don't know if it was exactly those words, but something like that, he said.
So we've got a lot of early wedges going on 5 days a week, and you and I were not on Wednesday's show together, but Daniel Berger was my favorite outright play coming into the week. I thought he would be a very popular play, and as it turned out, he was. I wasn't on an island there. There are a lot of us that like Daniel Berger coming into this one, but he's the perfect convergence of form and course history that we're looking for on a regular basis. He's got 2 runner-up finishes in his previous 6 events, was 12th in his most recent start at the Genesis Invitational at Torrey Pines, and he's got 3 career top 5s in what is essentially a home game. And Rick, I made the point that for some players, a home game is like, it's almost too much work. It's like, I gotta give the kids breakfast and take out the trash. And then, oh yeah, my neighbor needs tickets, and I got to do this other thing for these other people. And it almost becomes a hassle to play in your own hometown. For Berger, he's a guy that likes to show off. He is confident, bordering on cocky. And my thought on this was, playing in his hometown with friends and family in attendance, that's only going to get him more motivated. So far, so good. He's only 2 shots back going into the weekend. I love his placement right now. Looked a little skittish. He's doing it a little bit with smoke and mirrors. The ball striking numbers are okay enough. He's made a whole bunch of mid-range putts so far. I believe he chipped in at one point. The par on the first hole in yesterday's opening round still is pretty amazing. I woke up yesterday. First thing I did, Rick, woke up, still rubbing sleep out of my eyes. I turn the TV on, kind of go like this, and what I see is Daniel Berger in a golf cart, holding his driver, being driven back to the tee. I'm like, well, week's over. So much for that. Just spent 3 days telling everybody about Daniel Berger and how much I liked him. Of course, he eagled the second ball, makes par on the hole, goes on to shoot a really nice round yesterday and follows it up with a good one on Friday as well. So right there in the mix. And again, take the odds out of the mix, take everything out of play. If you're just asking me for a winner right now, Daniel Berger is the guy that I like. He's very much in shouting distance.
Yeah, anywhere from 22 to 28 to 1 before the tournament started, depending on when and where you got him. Currently at 6 to 1. I'll make the case for why Berger backers or potential Berger backers should be optimistic here in just 1 second. You talked about rolling a squad deep here, Jason. That's exactly what Luke Clanton did. The whole Clanton crew was in town to watch Luke secure the PGA Tour card. He makes the cut very easily, shoots rounds of 65 and 68. He's in a tie for 10th right now, Jason. Is he turning his attention to maybe a little bit more than just earning the tour card?
I love the position right now for Luke Clanton. First of all, is it a little strange? I mean, like, we didn't think he wasn't going to get his tour card. All he had to do was make a cut to get that final and 20th point for the PGA Tour U accelerated program and clinch his playing privileges as a full-time member. That said, I mean, look, let the kid celebrate. He's 20 years old, doesn't turn 21 until much later this year. Good for him. He has got all the tools. I've interviewed him a few times on PGA Tour radio, and look, we talk and we collectively talk about, hey, it'd be great if we had more personalities on the PGA Tour. There are a lot of really good young players. Davis Thompson is a great example. I love Davis Thompson's game. He's not much of an interview, and that's okay. Look, if his focus is on playing good golf, he goes out there and plays good golf, and he does his job. Luke Clanton is going to be really good for the PGA Tour because he's got a lot of personality, and he's got some moxie in him as well. So I first of all like him long-term a lot. I think this kid's going to fire away once he gets on the tour full-time. But secondly, I really like him in the short term. 4 shots back going into the weekend, and he's got that big weight lifted off his shoulder. Free roll. We all know what a free roll can do for you out there. And so I think Clanton can be a guy to watch over the weekend.
I absolutely love the idea of now it's just all gravy from here for Luke Clanton. Unfortunately, a handful of notables, including Davis Thompson, who you referenced there, Jason, not going to be around for the weekend. Sungjae Im, Cameron Young, both on the wrong side of that 5 under, 4 under cut line. Davis Thompson, as mentioned, won't be around. Kurt Kitayama, not going to be around. Any level of concern? I mean, Sungjae's, I think, the most interesting one because he's kind of fallen off a cliff. This has been a longer downturn for Cam Young. I mean, what do we make of these guys moving forward?
So you and I were talking a little bit about Cam Young before we started the pod. And yeah, I have a lot of concerns about Cam Young. First of all, look, not the sunniest disposition. I think it's really tough for a guy who gets down on himself when he starts playing some bad golf to pick it up and keep going. Cam Young's not going to be a guy who walks off the golf course after missing the cut at the Cognizant and go, that's all right, we'll get him next week, let's go. He's going to be a guy who's down on himself, who's kicking the ground, who's not happy, and it's hard to get on the right side of that. The second part of this, and I've said this for a long time about Ricky Fowler. I said this in defense of Akshay Bhatia, who I loved going to the Mexico Open last week, because it's hard for these younger players early in their career. And yes, I still consider Cam Young a younger player, still 3-4 years into his PGA Tour career, because you've gotten to a level, your status is so good that you are playing in all the signature events, the major championships, the playoff events. And so for the most part, 90% of the starts that Cam Young will make on the PGA Tour, he's looking this way and Scotty Scheffler's over here. He's looking this way and there's Rory McIlroy. Xander Schauffele's there. Patrick Cantlay over there. You're never going to be the best player in the field. And so I think it's hard to learn how to win on the PGA Tour, learn how to win at the highest level when you're always playing against the best players, Rick.
We saw how many wins Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy have stolen from these guys, especially in 2024. There's only so many trophies to go around. We're going to turn our attention to some of the comments that we've got in the chat here, Jason. We're going to look at the live odds at the halfway point. We're going to see where the wind takes us. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
And we're back. So I'm going to try to lump through some of these questions into some larger conversations here, Jason. We've got Burton's Entertainment, who is looking at that solo second position. Matthew Pavone, a guy that I, quite honestly, have just scrolled right past during that opening recap there. Rounds of 66 and 64. He is 11-1 right now. The top of the betting board looks like Jake Knapp at 4.5-1. Daniel Berger is 6-1. Michael Kim, who's currently 2 shots back, is 10-1. And then it's Pavone at 11. If you want to go deeper down the betting board than that, there's a lot of names in the mix, like Ricky Fowler, Shane Lowry, Sepp Straka, etc. But what does the top of the board, including Pavone, look like for you?
So I will say this, as someone with a very large Daniel Berger pre-tournament investment, of the players I'm worried about over the next 36 holes, Pavone's not one of them. Now, I love Matthew. I've interviewed him a handful of times. He is the opposite of what I was just saying about Cameron Young, where Cam's going to get down on himself and it's hard to get that back. Pavone's one of the most positive guys out there. I love his attitude. I hope that he continues his good play. That said, it hasn't been great since he won the Farmers Insurance Open 13 months ago, and I think it's going to be tough for a guy to kind of come out of nowhere and go out there and win again. But look, we've seen other players do it. Maybe he's the new Cameron Champ. Maybe he's a guy like that who's just going to come out and win once a year and then sort of fade into oblivion. Davis Riley. I mean, we've seen players like this. When they get hot, they get really, really hot. But I just don't see it happening for Pavone. He's not a guy I'm going to be chasing at 11-1 whatsoever. How about you?
Once a year, and you don't know where it's going to be, which is always the hard part. No, I'm with you here. I've got one of those tickets on Daniel Berger. I actually believe that I'm a little bit more optimistic than your smoke and mirrors, description earlier. I look at a guy who's gaining throughout the bag, who got a ball stuck in a palm tree, who had to extract himself literally from water, a guy who had to play out of a plugged bunker lie, who did not take advantage of any of the par fives on his second nine. And I say, hey, there's a lot of juice to squeeze out of this. There's a lot of improvement to be made. So even if I did not have that Berger ticket right now, I'd be looking at this board saying, if I can get in on Daniel Berger at 6-1, I think it's a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, and I'm going to give some advice to all the folks out there who, like me, you like betting long shots. 6-1, I get it. 6-1 is still a pretty good number. If you're betting a decent amount of money, you're like, hey, I'm okay with waiting until the weekend and taking a guy that I like at 6-1. I have zero problem with that. Like I said, if I had to pick one guy without odds, I'd pick him right now. What I like to do is take a guy. If you like a guy to win, there's a pretty short number, whether it's going into round 3 or going into the final round. find something else that you like. Might be an NBA game tonight that you're like, hey, I think the Celtics are going to roll. I'm going to take them just on the money line. Maybe it's look at the LPGA. Lydia Ko is one shot back. I like Lydia Ko at like plus 450, I think she is right now. And you might want to parlay that with Berger, which, oh, by the way, is something that I've already done. So I like those plays where you're trying to just essentially maximize what you're getting out of it, especially if you've got a ticket on Berger already. It's like instead of hedging, it's I don't know what that would be called, Rick, sort of the opposite of hedging. I'm pushing more all into the table. So like I'm all in, and now I just bought more chips and I'm pushing those all in too.
Those Celtics going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight, minus 122 on the money line. There are some, I mean, listen, the Phoenix Suns are minus,
by the way,
minus 425.
Anyone out there play the Celtics? Don't listen to my NBA picks.
Oklahoma City minus 575. I don't know anything about the NBA. I was just looking for the biggest odds I could find. Now, Jeff asked a very specific question about Michael Thorbjornsen. I will lump that into a larger conversation because I doubt that. I mean, we probably didn't see any of Michael Thorbjornsen's shots this week. He probably hasn't been on the coverage, but he is 6th in strokes gained approach for the week. The only place that he is losing is around the green. He's losing big there. He's currently in a tie for 15th. The concern that I would have, so Jeff's got a ticket, a top 20 ticket on Thorbjornsen. The concern here is there's going to be a lot of shuffling. There's 10 guys at 8 under par, which is a tie for 15th. There's another 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, another 10 at 7 under par. I mean, that's going to be a very competitive market the rest of the way.
Yeah, just looking at the numbers right now, I'd love to see some momentum from him coming into this one. He's got a tie for 74th in Phoenix and 3 missed cuts in his last 4 starts. If there was something to show me that he was ready to go out there and play some good golf, I'd like it. That said, I do like betting on talent, Rick. I like the fact that, you know, when there's a guy that, hey, we know he's good. We've seen him. He was really good as an amateur. He got onto the PGA Tour. He's going to be a really good player. Let's get him before he blows up rather than after. That said, I'm just not sure this is the week for him. He's shown some volatility in his short PGA Tour career. And if you've got a volatile game, that's not going to work around PGA National, especially we think maybe the wind is going to start blowing just a little bit on the weekend.
Fingers crossed for that. Now, I'm looking at the live top 20 odds for Michael Thorbjornsen. He's plus 115. Obviously, a little bit of juice tied into that, but probably just a bit worse than a coin flip as of right now that he ends up finishing inside the top 20. But if you've got it at plus 475 like Jeff does, you're certainly sitting in a much better position. Hef asked the question that I love to ask every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Well, it's like back 9 on Sunday, whatever it takes. How far back is too far back? It's a game that we like to play here, Jason. The lead is at 13 under. There are 9 golfers at 10 under or better. There are 14 at 9 under or better. Should I keep going? We've got 24 at 8 under or better. We've got 34 at 7 under. Oh my gosh, we've got 47 at 6 under or better. No, I don't believe it. Keep going.
If you didn't buy a plane ticket, you have a chance to win this golf tournament. We saw guys shoot 59 yesterday.
The cut line is 5 under.
A lot of shots on the field.
The cut line was 5 under. So everybody in this field is within 8. Every single golfer who has made the cut line is within 8.
And I like to look at things as not that I'm discounting Jake Knapp, and Jake Knapp can very well win this golf tournament. He was top 5 here coming off his Mexico Open win last year. It's really hard, though, to follow up a 59 and play not just a really good round the next day, and he shot 70, which I thought was just fine coming off the 59, but really hard to keep that going for 2 more days. I don't necessarily look at Pavone as the leader because I don't necessarily think he can win this golf tournament. So I'm looking at 11 under as the leader right now. And I've talked about Berger. I like Berger. But that said, if you're chasing 6 and you can go out there and post a 61, 62, especially, and I talk about the wind, I don't know exactly what the wind is going to do. You can find a weatherman in Palm Beach Gardens right now, and he doesn't know what the weather's going to do on Saturday and Sunday. But if you go out there, especially tomorrow morning with an early tee time, as it's nice and calm, and throw out a little 62 and then sit there all afternoon and watch it blow, even if it's blowing 15 miles an hour and blows some balls offline a little bit, I think you can catch up and move up this leaderboard pretty good on the afternoon.
Yeah, it is interesting to see how many guys are stacked up here. Like Denny McCarthy's at 5 under. Would I be shocked if he made every single putt on Saturday and got himself in the mix? Probably not that much. I'm going to try to get you to narrow in here, both of us, on kind of an outright and then a long shot here. Now, okay. I want to assume, so we're both already invested in Daniel Berger. We cannot go back there. So we've got to find somebody else at the top of the board, not named Daniel Berger. Where would your next click go?
I've got 2 of them. Am I allowed to have 2?
You can have as many as you want. There are literally no rules here.
I've got enough Berger already, so I feel like I'm hedging off of him already. So I talked about Luke Clanton earlier. Luke Clanton sitting at 9 under, 4 back. And again, that big weight is lifted off his shoulders. Now he can just go out and play golf. You know what? He's not making any money this week. So what do you do when you're not making money and you already got your tour card? Well, I'm going to fire at every flag stick. I'm going to go be aggressive. I'm going to not leave any putt short. I love the fact that he can go out with that free roll and play well this week. And look, it might go the other way. He might get really aggressive, and this is in a golf course where sometimes you can get aggressive. And so he might go shoot 74 tomorrow and be like, whatever. You know what? I got my card. I'm not too worried about it and not care as much. But I have a feeling it's going to go the other way. I have a feeling he's going to play some really good golf. And then very impressed by the round in the morning of Ben Griffin. He was a guy that I was looking at a little bit coming into today and sitting there at 9 under. He's a guy that I would like to get a little investment on going into the weekend as well.
I see Ben Griffin at 25-1 right now. I think that is, he was certainly on my short list as well. My short list revolved around kind of Ben Griffin, Michael Kim, who has made unbelievable strides in the last couple of weeks. I like that he's played well at a bunch of different golf courses. We know he's been working with Joe Mayo, getting that short game all tidied up. He's currently 10-1, but I want to throw out Sepp Straka here, Jason. You know, I always think this is interesting. He's in a tie for 15th. He is maybe 3 shots back if we think the lead is 11 under. He's 5 shots back if we use the actual lead, the real lead. And it's just 2 rounds of 67. He hasn't done anything special. He's kind of been true to his own stat profile. He's 5th in the field in strokes gained approach. He has not putted well at all. He's obviously won at this golf course in the past. He's there at 33-1. And I just keep scrolling at it and looking and saying, that's a pretty good number.
Look, I don't disagree with you. There's no statisticians will tell us there's no such thing as the law of averages. It doesn't exist. But yet, as people who are putting our own mindsets and personalities into what we like and our hunches, it's just hard for me after a guy's won recently who's not Scotty or Rory or Xander to say, is Sepp Straka really going to win twice in the first 2 months of the season? I'm just not buying that. If Sepp Straka hadn't won the Amex last month, I'd say, yeah, I really like Sepp Straka, but he did. And so again, does that make any sense? I mean, if the little ball on the roulette wheel falls in the 00, do you say, well, it can't be 00 again? No, the probability is exactly the same. It doesn't matter. And yet I still look at Sepp Straka and go, I just don't see him winning twice in 2 months.
He's not Scotty Scheffler yet. Maybe they share the double S initial. Again, 33-1 for Sepp Straka. I'll start to put a bow on it with this because there are really a lot of fun names here, Jason. I mean, Ricky Fowler is in the mix. We've got Jordan Spieth, who has had one hell of a week. I'll pull up his numbers here. I saw that LVL was asking about Jordan Spieth. This was rolling in a pretty solid direction for most of Friday. He was 4 under par, Jason, through 13. And then this is how he finished in typical Jordan Spieth fashion. Bogey, birdie, triple, and then he birdies 18 just for good measure. Of course, that's 7 under par heading into the weekend. He is 70-1. I don't know if he's a click, but like, what's the state of the union on Jordan Spieth for the weekend?
So perhaps the PGA Tour's most volatile player on one of the PGA Tour's most volatile courses. Why should we be surprised that the whole roller coaster was going all day for Jordan Spieth? Now, look, I am bullish long-term on Jordan Spieth. Ask me again in 6 weeks when we're at Augusta, and I might be very bullish on Jordan Spieth. Right now, though, I'm bearish, and it's because I'm listening to Jordan himself. This isn't me saying, I just don't like him. It's you listen to what Jordan says, and the wrist that he had surgery on late last year still isn't 100%. He's not fully confident in his game right now. When Jordan's fully confident, You can see it. You can see it on his face. You can see it in his eyes. He talks about aim small, miss small. I know what I'm doing. I'm trying to do this, and I'm pulling it off. And even when he was contending at the WM Phoenix Open 3 weeks ago, you listen to Jordan Spieth after each of those rounds, and you're like, he's not really there. He doesn't quite believe in himself. And if Jordan's not believing in himself yet, I'm not going to believe in him just yet either. But again, long-term, yes. Long-term, I'm in. It's just not there yet.
Well, when he goes out in 29 tomorrow, I'll shoot you a text, and I will see if you're a believer.
That's right. When he comes back in 42, text me back.
Yes, exactly right. All right. Well, if you like this live kind of halfway report, great. That's awesome. Let us know. But we're going to do something else new, and that is going to be a Sunday show, 1 p.m. Eastern time. The idea is to be a little bit agile because it's going to be before those final groups go out. So we're going to know how the leaderboard is shaping up. We're going to have an opportunity to take look at that final group. If there's a golfer we want to wager on, hey, there's going to be plenty of matchups, and then an opportunity to do a little bit of a first look at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So we're trying to get this, Jason, covered from all angles.
Absolutely, Rick. I know we're finishing up here, and I want to give one more shout out to something elsewhere in the world of golf today. We talked about probabilities, and the probability was very, very low that we were going to see the same player have 2 holes in one in the same round of golf. It happened on the DP World Tour. Shout out to Dale Whitnell and his shades. He wears these goggles that look like he's about to go jump in the water, be Aquaman like Woody Austin. I will say, Rick, as a member of the multiple hole-in-one club, it's not such a big deal. It's not really a big thing. Maybe 2 in one round, that's cool, but I've got 2 in my life, and really it's not like I even keep the balls anywhere. So, wait, no, I do keep them somewhere. So here they are.
This started out as a beautiful tribute to Dale, and then turned into that is unbelievable. I'm jealous.
Do not have your 2 hole-in-one balls?
I'm still looking for them. Yeah, so looking for the first one actually. That's awesome. Yeah, that's very good. I like that. What do you think the odds? What do you think the odds were him making 2 aces in one round?
So I saw, I'm blanking on the name. Social media guy from Golf Digest, help me out. Actually did this. He went through a thread. I don't know if he's right, but I didn't do the math myself. So he had it as 1 in 1.04 million. Now I don't know what that means. If it's for a tour player, if it's for any golfer, that seems like not enough. That I
had it closer to 150 million.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Now, again, 150 million for like all golfers, for like someone to have 2 holes in one.
I thought. All right. Well, what do you think the odds are for a tour player to make a hole in one on any given par 3?
I tell you what, the odds don't line up to it, whatever it is.
I thought it was like 12,000 to 1.
It's you know what, I'm sure we could do a click really easy and find this.
No, I want to just guess wildly.
Yeah, sure. 12,001 sounds perfect.
Yeah.
By the way, it's the odds. I love when we get to the major championships and we'll see like those prop bets, like Scotty Scheffler to make a hole in one, 60 to 1. It's like, what?
Without a no option.
Yeah. No, like I'm not betting on like 60 to 1. No, I'm not doing that.
All right. I love it. We've got plenty more to come, not only this week, but of course this year. Next time, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Big thanks, producer Josh. He does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Jason Sobel. You can find him at Jason Sobel Golf. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been the Early Wedge. Catch you next time.